Oh, here we go. Twitch chat. Look at you guys starting a hype train during the starting soon screen. That's so cute and so nice, and I really appreciate it. Hey there, Abby. Hello. No more ads for you. Thank you for the sub. Alina, thanks for the sub. Funaria, thank you for the sub. We're going to talk to Funaria in a minute here. And thank you for the bits. You guys are very sweet. If you're new around here and you don't know me, hi, I'm Abbers. What is this wave? I don't know. I play video games sometimes. I also interview other streamers about streaming sometimes, and that is what we're doing today. I have a very wonderful, amazing guest, and I'm going to play you a little clip so you can get to know her. Theoretically. Okay, yeah.
Fun has arrived.
Hello, my name is Funaria, and I'm an alcoholic. I mostly play hardcore World of Warcraft, but I do enjoy dabbling in Skyrim and Stardew Valley. In hardcore WoW, I'm not allowed to group, trade, use the auction house, or, most importantly, die. I've been playing hardcore since 2020, and my goal is to complete the challenge on every class. Probably multiple times.
Oh well, fun will come later, I guess. No, I'm right here. I'm here already. That's why I have to go back to work. It's me.
Aw, fun. I'm so excited to have you. How's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for having me here, and also thank you for the sort of semi-deadline that actually got me to make that trailer, because I've been like, since they added Twitch trailers, I'm like, I should really make a trailer, and I haven't, and I'm like, I should do that sometime, and I haven't, and then it's like, I'm gonna want one for Why We Go Live. Let's do this.
Yay! I'm so glad. It was one of those the minute time frame. It's so hard. Like, it took me forever, right? Because it's like, how do I capture who I am and who I want people to like perceive me as in 1 minute? Like, you really have to like pick and choose what you're gonna share. You know what I mean? Oh no, we have a bot person? Come on, bots. Why? Hold on, let me ban a bot real quick.
Oh, absolutely. Got it.
Great. Did we do it? Did we ban him? Hooray, we banned him. Perfect. But yeah, it's a great trailer. I'm glad that like was helpful. I think your neurodivergence and my neurodivergence, I think, understand each other quite well, because I need a deadline. I'm like, you can't just tell me, oh yeah, have it done by whenever. I'm like, no, tell me when to have it done by, and then I'll ask for an extension if I need, you know.
but then you can't make your own.
Right.
You can't be like, okay, I have to have this done by 10 tonight, because then 10 tonight comes around and you go, yeah, but did I really?
I don't actually have to.
At midnight. Midnight's fine. And midnight rolls around. I was like,
Yep.
This could wait till tomorrow.
Totally. No, that's exactly how I am. Yeah. Well, should we just get into it?
Yeah, sure.
So fun. When was your very first stream?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
It was in 2021.
Okay.
Yes, it was definitely in 2021. And I remember, it's actually my affiliate anniversary yesterday.
Happy
apparently.
affiliate anniversary. That's
Thank
cool.
You. Yeah. It was like, you've been an affiliate for 3 years. I'm like, really? What is time?
I
don't understand time.
I think it's still 2020, and no one can convince me otherwise, quite frankly.
But I remember it happened really fast, because it was at that time of hardcore where basically everyone was like, oh, somebody hardcore is starting streaming. Let's all make sure they get affiliate. Yeah, everybody get in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, some people stick around and other people are like, all right, well, we did it. Good job, team. See you around. Right?
Yeah.
Which, honestly, fair, right?
Totally.
But, yeah, so it was only like 2 weeks or something, I think, between actually starting streaming and becoming an affiliate.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm gonna say early 2021.
Nice. Okay.
Is when I started.
And so I'm assuming your first stream was hardcore WoW. Is that
Yes,
right?
yes.
Do you know what
Yeah.
character that was?
Um. Oh, which character was I streaming first? You know?
I want to say your hunter, but I could be totally
Yeah.
wrong.
Well, around that time, it would have either been my hunter, the duo with like the shaman druid duo with Terrell,
That makes sense.
or else Naked Fun,
Okay.
because she was the other character I had going during that early stream time.
Yeah.
It didn't make it into the segment of the clip I chose for it, but that was the one that you rated me, and then I died. Though I was clearly
man.
already going to die.
I know,
there was
but
no
still
chance.
feels so
And it was
bad.
still great here.
Rating someone and having their character die like 30 seconds later, you're like, oh, what have I done? Just the
so
worst.
I don't know who I was playing when I first streamed, but it was
Yeah.
either the hunter or the shaman or the other shaman.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you back up, a few weeks before then or like a couple months before then, what like led to your decision making to be like, okay, I want to download OBS and I want to try this?
It might have been. I'm trying to remember exactly what stream it was, because at first when I was playing hardcore, Terrell had been like, there's this fun game mode, we should try it. And I did, and I was like, OBS, that sounds complicated as hell. I mean, I know I won't be able to be verified on these characters, but I don't care. I'm going to try it for myself. I'll try once on each class, and when I've died on all of them, then I'll be done. No. No. But, and then gradually, Terrell would be, like, when somebody would die in chat, Terrell would be like, oh no, it was Ghost Charm. I watch his stream at such and such a time. I'm like, wait, people are streaming this? Wait, maybe I should watch Twitch. I hadn't really been much of a Twitch watcher before, like AGDQ or SGDQ. That was about it.
Got it.
But then I was like, okay, sure. I had an account from watching some Twitter friends or Twitter acquaintances streams a handful of times. I don't know how many years ago. So I was like, okay, sure, I've already got that. Okay, I can watch easily. And yeah, I don't remember exactly whose stream it was that made me go, you know what? I wonder if I could do it. But I think it. Okay, this is gonna be awkward, but it might have been one of your duos with Syed and Tufus, because you weren't using a camera.
I was not. Yeah.
And it was like, wait a sec, I don't even need a camera. Okay, possibility, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, this is working, people are chatting, people are having fun, and it was just so much fun to see the close calls and the successes and just the general, extra thing of hardcore. It's like, okay, that could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is so interesting
Sorry.
to me. No, you're fine. That's very sweet too. Rest in peace, Hoofus and Toofus. Those were
Yes.
very fun characters. So it's interesting to me that you had been playing hardcore prior to streaming it. How did you hear about hardcore?
Again, it was Terrell. I think Terrell watched
Okay.
the Cargo's videos, because this is back
That
in
makes sense,
2020,
yeah.
so right at the start of it. And at first, he was like, yeah, there's this cool game mode to try. Hardcore Classic was starting to... It was starting to pall because our guild was falling apart. We weren't meant to be a raiding guild. We were just a social leveling guild. And then, of course, people do that, and then they get to 60 and they go, actually, I do want to raid.
Yeah.
And so, goodbye, see ya.
Yeah.
And then, just...
Classic.
So it was very much the kind of like, I need something to revitalize my interest in Classic. And Terrell's like, yeah, there's this thing. I'm like, okay, but deleting when I die? That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Why would I want to play that? And so it took him
Totally.
a little bit to get me to actually try it, but then I did, and I was like, this is fun.
Yep.
This is really fun. And then my priest died, and I was like, okay, yes, I am getting this.
Yep.
This is happening.
That's what hooks people. Your first death is the one where it's like, but I'm better than that, so I have to do this again. And then you're just hooked, I think. At least, yeah. Well, my story that way is similar. A friend of mine told me about it. He was a fan of Cargos. And I was like, that's cool for other people. And then, yeah, as soon as I started playing that game mode, it's like, at this point, I'm like, well, I don't know how to play normal characters anymore. Like, I like not dying too much,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like being on normal characters and being like not worrying about dying so much,
Sure.
like not having that fear. But boy, do my normal characters die a lot less since I've started playing hardcore.
Yep.
Like they
Yep.
just, it's like, oh, this is a shitty situation. Let me just get on out of there.
Yeah.
You know, like,
'Cause
oh,
you're
I can see this is going wrong. Yeah.
totally,
Sorry.
you're just more used to like playing in that way where you're cautious and you're aware of those things. Whereas like before I had played hardcore, it's like dying was nothing. It's like, yeah, whatever. Like now, like if I have to do a corpse run, I'm like, oh, corpse runs feel so bad, don't they? Like,
It's weird how the corpse run feels worse in some ways than starting a new character over at level 1.
it really
Like,
does
obviously,
though.
that is a much worse corpse run.
Yeah, of
But
course.
it's not the same as being like, oh, for fuck's sake, I died on those miners in the middle of Stranglethorn, and I'm either running from the very top of the zone or the very bottom of the zone,
Yep.
and there's no winning.
Yep, it's the walk of shame, man. Like it feels bad. What is the story behind your screen name?
Okay, so it's actually my first World of Warcraft character.
Okay.
Back in 2007, Zig got me Burning Crusade. We had tried the demo first so that I could make sure I would like it, but this was essentially my first 3D game. Because I grew up on 2D games on the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, right? So it was just like overwhelming. I think I had to play. I borrowed a Harvest Moon game on the PlayStation 2 from a friend of mine at college, so I could get, because it was a 3D game, so I could get used to moving around in the 3D world. I got lost so horribly in World of Warcraft all the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you start up the game and you go, okay, I need to name this character. What the heck am I gonna name this character? I have no idea. So I'm looking around and again, I was in college at the time, so nearby is a book about local plants or no, it wasn't even animals, it was local plants. Just, plants of interior British Columbia. I'm like, okay, let me just flip through here. The genus names have got to be, they're not like Sally and Bruce and whatever, other names might come to mind. I think I had tried a few from like books at that point. I was like, this name is already taken. This name is already taken. It's like, of course it's already taken.
Sure.
It's a popular book, of course. But yeah, I just was flipping through and most of my character names ended up being from that book, but the shaman was Funaria.
Yeah.
And then so when I became more active on internet spaces, it was natural to be like, well, this is my main character. I'm Funaria to people in game. I'm Funaria to people on the internet. And then most of the time, the name isn't taken. On Twitch, it was already bloody taken, so I had to add the numbers. But
So annoying. The worst, man. Yep. I feel your pain that way. I was like, oh, I can't just be Abbers. Now I gotta, oh, jeez. Yeah.
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 It just feels especially cruel when it's Funaria because it's not taken like almost everywhere. And then the few places it is, it's like, who are you?
It's like, why? Yeah.
And why?
Yeah. Well, and inevitably it's somebody that like doesn't stream and like doesn't have any followers or anything. It's like, well, why? What do you? Can I have it though?
Yep.
Oh, that's great though. I love where when you're playing RPGs specifically, and I think WoW is the one that we're most familiar with, or at least one of the ones we're most familiar with. I love hearing like why people choose the names that they choose, like because I very much go between like, okay, this is this like really cool obscure goddess in like Hindu mythology, whatever, to then like just having like the most like shit posty like goofy whatever name. Like that's very much my kind of go-to. So it's fun like you being someone who really loves like plants and biology to like have drawn your name from that, I think is really cool.
Yeah. So some of the characters I actually tried to make the name fit the class. So like, my warlocks are always Actea, which is baneberry, a very poisonous berry and everything. So it's like, aha, evil berry. Let's choose that.
Yeah.
And others are just like, I like this name. Sure, let's go with it.
Yeah. Well, and so you started playing WoW during TBC, is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Well, and prior to that, being a 2D kind of gamer exclusively, when did your like love of video games kind of start?
Like it started when I was a kid, definitely, because we eventually had a Nintendo, and that was amazing. And then our cousins had a Super Nintendo, and when you put the cartridge in, it worked every time.
Ooh.
every time. It was amazing. We eventually got a Super Nintendo as well. Like, it worked because there were a lot of us. So when an aunt or an uncle would be like, let me do a group present for all of you, it could be something like a console. Where if there were only two of us or something, I don't think the math would have worked out quite so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had a Super Nintendo, and we would rent games from the video store.
Mm-hmm.
So
The good old days, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the good old days. We rented Mega Man a lot.
Nice.
We rented Final Fantasy IV a lot, and every time, of course, you'd have to start over, and there'd be like one person on the save file with a really, really late save, and you'd be like, "Have they finished the game?
Yeah.
Is this okay to save over? I don't feel comfortable saving over this late game save. Let me save over my sister's save instead."
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, no, it definitely when I was a kid. But even so, like in college, I still would just as well read a book than play a video game. It's like, yeah, it's fun, but then I was living with Zig, and he was much more into games, and eventually it kind of was like, okay, yeah. And then World of Warcraft was probably the switch that flipped. Went from, I'll play games sometimes to, yes, I am a gamer.
Yeah.
I'm going to play games. It was either that or Harvest Moon.
Oh,
Because
okay.
honestly, wasn't sold on the idea at first. But then when he sold me on it, and it would be like, okay, he's playing, so I can't play. I can just watch. And as soon as he was done playing, it'd be like, all right, it's my turn. Let me go.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he'd be watching me, and be like, damn, I want to play again.
Totally.
Right? So it would just be this flip-flop until we'd go to sleep.
Aw, that's cute.
But yeah, so I think probably either World of Warcraft or Harvest Moon.
Okay, yeah.
The real thing.
The real gamers. Which Harvest Moon was it?
Like the one he first got me to play was Harvest Moon 64.
Okay.
But the one that we would swap back and forth on mostly was, I'm pretty sure, Magical Melody on the GameCube.
Got it. Well, I was gonna say on the N64 modulator on the Switch, they just put on
Yes,
Harvest Moon 64.
I
Yeah.
know. And I started playing it. I was like, oh god, these corners are awkward.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna need more time to come back to this because right now it's not quite working.
Totally. Yeah. Oh man, I love Nintendo. I'm such a Nintendo kid. Like it's forever gonna be my favorite. Like, I don't know what the word, like, I guess company as far as game franchises are concerned,
Yeah, well, there when we used to buy all the consoles because we were college kids without much of a what's the restraint? Is that the word?
Sure.
Maybe restraint.
Totally, yeah.
But then also consoles started getting more and more expensive too, and I was like, okay, this has to stop. Let's, we play on our computers a lot anyway. So the Xbox and the PlayStation, they have some exclusives, but a lot of them, they're similar to other games that we could play on the computer anyway.
Yeah.
But there's no other Nintendo.
Yep.
Like, there's no other Switch. Obviously at that time it was like the Wii right? There's no other thing. Like, so if we have computers and one console, that console is going to be a Nintendo console.
That's how I live my life. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But also Pip would be mad at me if I did not do this, so especially given the content right now.
Yeah, of course.
Happy Mario Day, everybody.
To all who celebrate, Happy Mario Day. It is Mario Day. Yeah, it was one of those things. I was like, I totally forgot that's a thing, but that's a thing. Yeah, no, I love just hearing, like, I don't know, the kind of progression of like this idea of like I play video games, so it's like, no, I'm a gamer. Because I think that's, and I think especially for people that were assigned female at birth, there's something to that, I think, that is maybe different from people who were assigned male at birth, because I think Harvest Moon's a great example. There's this, and Nintendo in general, there's this idea that like, well, that's not a real video game, right? Which is total nonsense. But I think there is like, at least for me, I remember there's this moment that switched where it's like, oh no, like I'm a gamer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although I don't know if I had that quite so much, because it was always like, my brothers are playing, I'm playing, right? So I'm at the same level at them, and I can still kick their butt at NHL 96.
Hell yeah!
Is it 90? Actually, I can never remember if it's 95 or 96.
I want to say 96, but now that you say that, I don't know.
It's one of those two games, and it's because I knew the exact like little glitchy things. It's like if you slap shot from behind the line, like near your own thing, you are very likely to score. Or if you do a wraparound, you are almost entirely guaranteed to score. So it'd be like just abusing the abusing the game.
I love that. That's great. Well, that speaks to too, like, I mean, there's so many different ways to play games in general, but video games, I think specifically, where you can find these things that's like, oh, this is a broken thing in the game that I can exploit to my advantage, kind of a thing. And I think that like that's something that fascinates me about speedrunners is that they think about games in a
Yeah.
completely
Oh
different
God.
way, you know?
God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't break my brain quite that much to do speedrunning things, but I don't know. It also feels sometimes like there's a difference when if I've found it or if somebody else has found it. Not always. Like I will happily, incorporate knowledge from other people into my general like knowledge bank or whatever. But I don't know, like I get much more attached if it's something I've figured out and then I go, yes.
Totally.
Yes, this is my thing. I'm gonna continue doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm giving shifty eyes. You don't see it, but there are shifty eyes happening.
Shifty eyes are happening. No, totally. Like when you think about I think games in general are fascinating, kind of game theory, but like what games are essentially is self-imposed obstacles that you need to overcome in order to achieve a goal, right? That's what makes games feel fun. And so like if you don't have that element of like I have achieved this, then it doesn't feel as good. You know what I mean? And like I think that there's merit to I've learned this skill or this strategy from someone else and I've perfected it, like cuz that, that there's something to that I find personally valuable, but at the same time like you said, like there's something so much more satisfying about like, oh, I figured this out. Like I figured out this routing or I figured out this strategy, and that there's something about that just feels really good.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It's like with Rested XP, the guide, like I'm sure it's a great guide. I know people level really fast with it. I'm sure if I used it and followed it, I could level faster, but I know I would look at it and go, but no, I don't want to go there right now. I want to go over here. I always go over here and it works out just fine for me, so I'm going to go here. Okay. Yeah. Like yeah, it's your route. It's your baby.
Yeah, it's my baby. Well, and for me too with guides, again, I know that one is fantastic. It's made by some like great speedrunners, right? But it's one of those things too for me. It's like I don't want to follow around an arrow. I want to like play this game. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a difference between the philosophy professor that talks about game theory a lot, but he talks about like there's a difference between I have to climb this mountain in order to find this thing, so I'm going to climb this mountain versus, oh, here's a helicopter that will just take me to the top. Like that's where it becomes a task and not a game anymore,
Yeah.
Which I find to be kind of fascinating and a cool way to like look at things.
Yeah, but then again, yeah, there's ways to make that task more interesting. Like if you have to do a thing to be able to summon the helicopter to get you up to the top.
There you go. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
They give you options, but yeah.
True.
Yeah, anyway, sorry. I tangent again.
No, please tangent away. That's what this is for. You please by all means. So for you, starting specifically with hardcore WoW and kind of like knowing that there was this, community behind it, and also being able to then verify and getting affiliate really quickly, like I guess, how has your relationship to streaming changed since you first started?
I think over time I've become more intentional with it. If that makes sense. Like at the beginning, okay, honestly, the reason I wanted to be an affiliate in the first case, just besides just streaming WoW and being able to share, was I had a concept for an emote, and I'm like, I want to have this emote.
Yeah.
So, and that was my very first emote.
So good.
It's just because people would be like hype, and I'd be like, I am not subbed to this person, and so I can't use their emotes. But if I had an emote, I could use my emote all the time. And then it just the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man came to mind. I'm like, I need to make this, and it was harder than I expected. Like to make a emote that is legible at a small size and can tell what it's supposed to do. Like I went through so many iterations of where to put the word, and is it the best one? I don't know, but it is the one, right?
It's so good. Did you draw it yourself?
Well, I mean, I had the picture, or I clipped the picture from something and removed the background manually, and then like adjusted size and all the things. And most of my things are not drawn myself, but are rather clipped and edited and shaped and everything because artistry, especially artistry on a computer, is not my it's not my forte.
Yeah.
Or at least not starting from scratch. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I don't find some artistry in, adjusting and editing all the things, but I know it's not the same as if I was like, I'm gonna draw this thing and make it
Sure.
absolutely my own. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not
But
patient enough to develop the skill set. There we go.
that's fair. That's totally fair. And that's a great way to put it too. So yeah, once you were able to get your emote, like what next, I guess, in terms of like streaming or like goals or how you like thought of yourself as a streamer?
Yeah, I think I didn't really have any goals at the start. It was just kind of a, hey, I can do this. I can basically talk to people while I'm playing. And I mean, of course, 2021, that's still in the height of the pandemic. Well, it is still the height of the pandemic. I'm sorry, I have to say it.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
it was in the height of the public response to the pandemic, shall we
Totally.
say.
Yeah.
So there was a lot less interaction with people. So even me as an introvert was like, okay, talking to people is nice, being
Totally.
able to chat and, have people chat back, like actual, yeah. And all the time I'm just playing a video game. And if something goes terribly wrong, I finally have a record of it. Like my
Mm-hmm.
biggest regret with not starting recording or streaming right away with hardcore is all of the early deaths that I have in my memory, but I
Yeah.
don't have clips of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I vividly recall the way my warlock died, but I don't have any record of it or the way she lived. Like, she did the town hall in Hillsbrad, and I nearly died. I was like in the corner
Wow.
sacrificing and resummoning my Void Walker,
That is
like desperately
ballsy.
almost dying. Well, it was on the one hand it was ballsy, and on the other hand it was I'm a warlock. I'm probably strong enough, right? Like I
Sure.
wasn't as attached to the idea of getting them all,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like that's my biggest regret with not starting earlier. So that was definitely a factor in that. I just want to be able to share this, and if I do something cool that people can see, and if I do something terrible that people can see and commiserate, right? It
Yeah.
just so that's how it started. And now, like at some point, I think both the time the kids went to school, like as a parent, like daycare is fucking expensive,
Yeah.
like beyond ridiculously expensive. And when they're both at school, I'm not doing as much parenting at home, but there are still pro-D days and stat holidays and spring break and winter break and all these things where there's large periods of time where they're at home, and they're too young at the moment to be home alone. So it's like, do
Mm-hmm.
we have a babysit? Do we have daycare for some days, which is still pay through the nose? Would I make enough money to, make that worth it? But I wanted to still contribute to the income of the house at least a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. And I mean, at first, big dreams, right? At first, it was like maybe I can make enough with streaming that when the kids are old enough to be at home alone, I'd still streaming would be a viable career. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started doing the math, comparing how much I would how many subscribers I'd have to get to even compare to a minimum wage job, and I was like, oh no, there's no way.
Right?
There's
Yeah.
absolutely no way.
Totally.
But I still want to um I don't know. While I can, it is my career and it isn't at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
not career, but my job or whatever. It is the only income I'm making.
Yeah.
So I still want to treat it as a job, right? Like we live with or with my mother-in-law, for example, and it's like, and she knows, she knows my streaming schedule because my work schedule sort of thing, right? It's like these are the days that I stream, and so having a schedule has been really helpful for that because it makes it feel more like, okay, this is your commitment. You have made a commitment. This is your, rather than just I kind of feel like it today, or no, I don't feel like it at all today. If I really had a day where I was like, I cannot do this, then I just don't stream. And I, take it off the schedule or whatever. But
Sure.
um, otherwise, it's like, no, I have made a commitment. I will go. And I'm generally like 5 minutes or so into it. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. I'm glad I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah.
And as far as like branching out into other games, like what what kind of inspired you to, I know you've streamed some Stardew Valley and you've streamed some Skyrim and some other indie games. Like what inspired you to try things that weren't hardcore WoW?
Um, I think the first ones might have been when oh, I can't even remember exactly what um basically when Blizzard started being called to account. I
Yeah,
can't say when Blizzard started being shitty because obviously they have been and were.
sure.
But when they started being called to account, it was like, I don't know if I feel comfortable streaming World of Warcraft right now.
Yeah.
And so I had to take some time to step back and think about, you know, the pros and cons and on a personal and whatever level.
Mm-hmm.
So I played some FTL and I can't remember I can't remember what other games I played. I know FTL was definitely one of them, but it kind of not really opened my mind to it because obviously I knew other games were a possibility, but it just kind of flicked a switch or something that made it go like, okay, you know what? It might be fun sometimes to do something else.
Yeah.
And I mean, Skyrim is so much fun.
Yeah.
When I had the concept of how can I make a character that won't just be a stealth archer?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because stealth archer
It's
is
so
so
good.
much fun. It's so strong. It is
Yeah.
just beyond amazing. But I mean, once you've done it, you have done it. And
Mm-hmm.
yet to not do it feels wrong on the new characters. Just like, okay, yeah, but I could stealth here. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, but this fight would be so much easier if I just start with my bow. And if I'm gonna do that, then I might as well spec that way and make it stronger.
Yep.
And oops, I'm a stealth archer again.
Yep.
So having the like restrictions of a class just was like, okay, this is gonna be fun. And I actually have a shaman restricted character that I haven't streamed at all. That she's also a survival mode character, so she can't fast travel and she has to eat food
Oh, okay.
to sate her hunger. And if she's too cold, it's dangerous. I made her um oh god, why can't I remember the lizard people? Help me.
Argonian.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I made her an Argonian, and then I'm climbing. They're most susceptible to cold, and I'm climbing Grey Mist or whatever
Oh
it's called, and I'm like,
gosh.
oh god, I'm freezing to death. Light a fire, and yeah, just experiences like that, and just being able to use some of the things is like I have to do this on stream with the character, and then yeah,
Yeah.
the Death Knight was born.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah.
And have you felt like a difference between when you're streaming other games versus when you're streaming hardcore WoW?
Definitely, definitely. I know my Skyrim streams never had as many people in them as the World of Warcraft streams did.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be the same now or not, I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while since I've played my Skyrim character.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it definitely felt like a Skyrim on Tuesday morning was a slower stream, not as much going on, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, definitely when I'm playing World of Warcraft is when more people are in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I would say too that like within the like hardcore WoW community, like you are very beloved. And for good reason, I think. Like you're someone that like is so helpful in terms of your game knowledge, and you're also just like such a like encouraging force, I think, in anyone's chat. And so there's something to be said about like not only how strong that community has been, but also what a to me what an integral member of that community you are. So it's something that like it makes sense to me that WoW would be, content where more people show up for you kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely get that. Thank you. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm blushing, but I probably am.
Aw, it's true though. Well, and I think too, like, and so having started Skyrim for the first time and having you be, a Twitch friend and hanging out, like, your game knowledge is really impressive with like any game that you play. Is that something that like, I don't know, you have always found to be true, or is that something that like has just like interested you?
I think it's more that it's those specific games that I have streamed.
Yeah.
Like there are, although I don't know, I definitely find I deep dive into games that I'm really enjoying. Like when I was cleaning recently, I found a binder and it's full of pages of information about magical melody.
Mm.
Uh, and some of it was stuff that I've got off the internet or whatever, and some of it was compiled by me. Like, okay, if I have strawberries, what's the most valuable way to do it? Right? Is it the strawberry? Like, and the cost breakdowns of all the ingredients, and like how much value do you get from that, and
Yeah.
this that. So, and I mean, I spent hours making these and thinking and going through the math and everything. And I've got another binder that has stuff from Trials of Mana, although it was say I'm so sorry, I'm sure I'm butchering the Japanese, but as I read it, it's like Seiken Densetsu 3 or something, but because there was no English localization for it. So it
Mm.
was a fan not dub, sub, a fan translation anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've got, you can, it's a game where you've got like 6 characters to choose from, and you make a team of 3 of them,
Okay.
and they have classes, and each class has multiple class changes. So at the end, there's like 4 possible final classes for each character, and the way those classes interact with each other and the different ways you play the game when you have those different character combinations
Yeah.
interests me. So again, I've got a binder full of that, like potential class combinations for each, or each grouping of the 3 characters. So it's like, if you've got these 3 together, I probably want to do like these sort of classes because they'll mesh well, and to... So yeah, I think with games I enjoy, I kind of end up deep diving inadvertently even.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh right, yes, now
Well,
I know the things, and it just kind of stays there.
yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds to me like the strategy element of gaming is like really important to you and something that you enjoy. And like, I think the idea of like min-maxing sometimes can be this like really cool puzzle of like, how do I figure
Yes,
out?
yes, it's a logic problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah. Well, and I think too, as someone who plays, you play very much in this kind of min-maxy way, but also you really honor an RP, whether it's like your internal kind of RP or an RP in the game. And I think that there's something really fascinating about where like metagaming and RP meet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like min-maxing within the framework of this is, this makes it like not. I'm never gonna go into that Naga cave and kill Naga for 5 levels. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Like,
Yeah,
that sounds
no.
like the most miserable way to level. I don't care if it's fast.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
Like,
That's like, what is that hill in Darkshore where everyone's just killing crabs for like 5 levels? I'm like, I
oh
can't.
God,
Do you know what I'm
no.
talking about? Like,
Ugh,
kills my soul.
no. Yes.
But if I'm grinding because there's a specific item I'm looking for,
Yes,
because I
yeah,
need food, then
exactly.
it's okay. I can like
I,
justify
I
it.
need I need multiple reasons to grind. It can't just
Yeah.
be experience. If it's experience in
Totally.
rep, great. If it's experience in cloth, great.
Yep.
If it's the shredder pages, just that alone, that's pain. But if I'm doing it
Killed
with
my soul
getting
just
cloth
then.
as well,
So many satyrs.
look, I know, but all the cloth, so much cloth, like
True.
wool. You
Totally.
get wool from them. Wool is desperate, right?
It's true.
Like,
Yeah.
and then you get you get your strategies for the various grinds, and it's like, okay, the shredder pages are an awful grind, but I set aside a specific time and I do it here, and this is how I do it, and this is the benefits to this, and so every time I do it, and it's fun because it's part of the routine now. I know that I'm going to get some good grind experience. I'm going to get some good cloth.
Totally.
And the same things with the Green Hills pages, right? It's like, this is a horrible bag space thingy, but if I do it this way, I minimize the amount of time I'm dealing with that awful bag space
Yeah.
issue. So, and yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
we're kind of speaking to this, but I guess like, and this
Sorry.
is kind of a big question. You don't have to apologize. You're totally good. But I'm just curious, like, what makes a game fun to you? What makes a game intriguing to you?
It's hard to say. I think definitely having some sort of personalization helps. Like some choice in how I'm like specializing the character or specializing the group, or a good story is generally good. But I can also play games and just kind of go, okay, yeah, this is generally happening in the story, but I'm not necessarily invested.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of it is being able to theory craft a little bit and be like, okay, what would be the best way to do this? Good music is also huge for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if the music is good, then I'm gonna be like, yes,
Yep.
let me continue playing this. Let me, you know, play it again and again, and probably a third time. And it's like I've got this library of games that I want to play, and I keep coming back to the same games. It's like one day I will get to you. I promise.
Yep.
I promise it will happen.
Yeah.
But then I kind of almost need like a specific goal in mind to know to play it.
Yeah.
But then when I do, as long as I have enough time to get into it and know it well enough that when I pick it up the next time, I can still play it. So I think difficulty is another one. Like, I don't mind a difficult game, but if it's the type of difficult where I'm just feel like I'm smashing my head into the wall, then I'm not gonna enjoy it.
Totally.
Like, and yet, like with hardcore, you know, you can kind of feel like that. Sometimes your characters are dying, and your characters are dying. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not making any progress.
Yeah.
But the minute to minute gameplay isn't difficult.
Yeah.
It's just the aggregate of never fucking up too horribly that it's difficult. So it's a difficulty that you can work with and grow within rather than, oh gosh, you know, I need to have twitchy reflexes and it's just not happening.
Totally.
So
yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's like
twitchy reflexes.
twitchy reflexes. My little brother's been playing Elden Ring a bunch lately, and it's one of those that, like, I haven't really gotten into Soul games, but I know that they're kind of notorious for being extremely difficult, right? And I think that there's something to a game where it's like, it's difficult, but if I learn from my mistakes, then I get better and I can overcome it, right? Which I'm sure is true for Elden Ring, but like, I specifically within like hardcore world, to me, it's like, when people like talk to me about like, oh man, I keep dying before level 20 and I don't know what's going on, it's like, you're probably not learning from your deaths. Probably. And granted, in MMO, what's fascinating about it is that, like, yes, theoretically I'm running the Barons over and over again, but it's always going to be a little different. It's never going to be the exact same twice. You know what I mean? So there's something very intriguing about that, I think, too, with this idea of like difficulty, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. I like a game to be that right level of difficulty. Either that or just when the gameplay loop is just so satisfying that you have to play another day. I'm looking at you, Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley.
Yep.
Just one more day. But I mean, see, if I play for one more day, then I can plant my turnips. But then I got to remember that my turnips are. Oh, but then, you know, there's my pickaxe to pick up from the shop. I better play another day so I don't forget that. Oh well, maybe.
Classic.
Oh crap!
Well,
it's
you know,
3
I'm
a.m.
just gonna do this thing real quick before I end, which it's the give a mouse a cookie of video games, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Going back to something that you had kind of talked about earlier, is this idea of like starting with hardcore and because of the community, and then it kind of switching into, this is a way that I can like financially contribute to my household income. Like, do you remember like when that switch occurred, or kind of how that happened for you?
I think, oh gosh, I don't even. Oh, sorry, one moment.
No, you're good.
I don't know exactly when the switch occurred. It was probably as Timothy was starting to get closer to school.
Okay, yeah.
Because it was very much a, you know, okay, is this still, you know, like, what is my, I don't know, not what is my purpose. Obviously, that feels strange. It's more of a, you know, I don't just want to just be staying at home doing nothing. And obviously, there's nothing to do around the house or whatever. But I know at least part of my time I'm going to be playing games.
Yeah.
It just, I know myself. I cannot be like, okay, kids are off at school, I'm going to spend the next 6 hours cleaning. I just can't.
Yeah.
I could pretend I was going to, but I know that it wouldn't happen.
Same.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, just streaming, even if I'm not making much money, because really, honestly, I get payouts maybe like a few times a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an income.
Yeah.
It's not really, but at the same time, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I made enough with streaming that I felt like I still came out ahead after buying the microphone.
Yeah.
But I wanted to buy the microphone because I knew my sound quality just wasn't quite there. And it's like, okay, but I want to put the effort into the stream
Mm-hmm.
and make it more professional-ish, right? You like make
Yeah.
it have the things and be the stream and do the things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I even do the words and then the words work great.
I know.
You
The
know?
words are hard, but sometimes they happen.
Yes, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it must have been sometime around then. And then just
Okay.
gradually, but again, we talked about the neurodivergence earlier, and again, it's one of those things that I can't just say, okay, now you need to make a channel trailer.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it has to be either with a deadline or with inspiration. And like with the emotes, every time they give more emote slots, I'm like, oh God, what am I going to fill these with?
I know. Same.
And so I don't until suddenly it's like, oh my God, I could have a dancing boomkin.
Right. Oh my God.
Right? Like
Another brilliant one. Fun has amazing emotes. If y'all aren't following Fun and or sub to Fun, like truly some of the best emotes in the game. I really think so. Yeah, the dancing boomkin is just well, and the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan hello is so good. It's yeah, you got some good ones for sure. Yeah, every time they give it, currently, well, I actually reached out to Fun to be like, hey, how do you make some of your like GIF emotes? Because I have ones in my mind that I want to make. And like you said, unless I'm very inspired or motivated to do it, I need external forces to say you have to get this done by this time. I don't know what it is. And if you give me a deadline that I like have to do it, I'll do it. It'll happen. You know what I mean? But otherwise, man, it could be 2 years from now before I actually make that emote that is in my head,
yeah, absolutely. And yet there's also some emotes that it's just it goes from conception to I have to do this.
Yep.
Oh God, the SpongeBob one was the worst.
Oh, the
because
SpongeBob one is real good too.
The background on the GIF is close enough to the color of SpongeBob that I had to go in manually.
Oh God.
There's so many of them you can just be like, okay, here, let me go to an automatic background remover, and even if I have to do it frame by frame, it's still click, click, click. With SpongeBob, every frame was in Paint. Okay, let me outline this. Okay, let me erase this. Let me zoom into the pixel level and erase this. And,
Right.
Oh God.
Right.
And yet it was like, I have to do this. I have thought of this. It must happen. I want to, and so I'm spending hours, at my computer, erase. Like, okay, yeah. World of Warcraft, it's great. It'll keep. I need to erase this SpongeBob frame.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, they're so good though. Yeah, T Miller says consequences. I need consequences.
Yeah.
Otherwise
Yes.
I won't do
Yes.
things.
There's gotta be either the carrot or the stick, but the carrot's gotta be really juicy if it's only the carrot.
Totally. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. I've talked to a few streamers on here that are parents, and you are among that crew with your kiddos, and I know that they're pretty young. How aware are they of your streaming?
They both know I do it.
Uh-huh.
Pip more so than Timothy, but like Timothy still knows.
Yeah.
And like so they're old enough now that even if they're homesick, as long as they're not homesick like with gastric issues, then it can be like, okay, you can come to me and like tap me on the shoulder, or just wait so I can mute the microphone and talk to you. But otherwise they can watch TV or play video games or otherwise sort of take care of themselves during, but they both know I do it. So like if they're homesick on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, they know Mom's got her stream to do.
Yeah.
And Pip definitely has it as a career goal.
Does he? I was gonna ask. Yeah.
I was gonna be like, I'm never like, sorry kid, you're not gonna make a lot of money that way, because that's just cruel.
Yeah.
Right? I just go, yeah, great, that's cool. And
Yeah.
because he'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna stream this, and and some of it's from knowing that I stream, and some of it is just like the YouTube creators he watches.
Sure.
And he's like, I want to be like Scrapman. Like I want to, I want to do this and play this game, and it's just, yeah. So they definitely know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they love games too, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, so it's I'm curious, especially with young ones, like how much they understand it or how much they're like picking up on it. And I forget too that like we live in a world where streaming and content creation is a very normal thing now, I think, because like
I know, right? It's yes.
for growing
Yes.
up, like us growing up in the 90s, like it's I feel, back in our day, but like it was not even a thing yet, right? So
Yeah,
like in
playing
my
video
mind
games for a
it's
living. I'm sorry, what?
yeah, in my
What?
mind it's still very novel, and it's really not
Yeah.
anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
mean,
too.
it's
Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
It's novel to have an audience.
Ooh, that's a good point. Oh, ouch, true, yeah. It's novel to have an audience. Oh, that's harsh, but it's true fun.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, and I say this as somebody who does have a very minimal audience. Like I love my audience, but I
Yeah,
do know like I am very aware of my numbers compared to
totally.
other people's numbers, and it's like yes,
Yeah.
you know,
We'll get into
but
that more. Yeah.
yeah.
What is your relationship to the numbers and the algorithm and all of that? Especially, I
Um,
think, for someone like you that really has a mind for like metagaming. What is that like with the numbers of Twitch and streaming?
I think what really helped was again, as I said earlier, like kind of doing the math on how many subs would I need. Because just as a ballpark, how many subs would I need to compare to a minimum wage job that's at full time or partial time or this? And I kind of did a few breakdowns um of that, and I was like, that's way too many. Like, there's no, I know in my heart I am not a multi-hundred sub streamer.
Yeah.
It's never gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. And so at that point, it was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna appreciate everybody who comes in, and especially regulars that you get to know more. It's like I love it when people get a chance to come in, and some days I've got nobody.
Yeah.
Some days, and then some days I think I've got nobody, and I go to see if it's worth rating somebody. It's like, oh wow, there were 8 people lurking. What? Because I
Right.
don't show the numbers while I'm streaming because I just no, that breaks my brain.
Yeah.
It
Same.
can't happen.
Yeah.
And then other times it's like, okay, yeah, no, I'm the only one here. I've been talking to dinner, but it's fine. I still made progress on my hardcore character, and the VOD's still there, and you know, I can't say that I don't sometimes feel. I don't know if I don't think inadequate's the word, but it's kind of one of those things where sometimes like I look at other streamers who did blow up, like say Pops. Although I mean I can't compare myself to Pops Barn Grill. He's fantastic, but at the same time, sometimes it's like okay, they have a similar vibe to me, right? They're
Yeah.
a chill gamer, playing the same thing I'm playing, doing very similar things, and yet suddenly they've got bunches and bunches of people.
Yeah.
Is it the amount of time they're able to stream? Is like the length of the streams?
Yeah.
Is it the camera? Is it the different time slot? And so sometimes I do have to pull myself out of that and be like, okay, but I'm happy for them. That's fantastic. It's okay. It's okay. Would it be nice to have, lots of people coming in and chatting? I mean, yes, but also no. Like, so I think if I had like constantly 50 people, I mean, I'm sure I'd get used to it, but also that sounds really overwhelming from a perspective of like, holy crap, I had 20 people. That's an enormous day, right? Like
Yeah.
constantly having more than that does sound intimidating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of, I don't know. Sometimes I feel a little bit like, oh, it would be nice to have a bigger audience.
Yeah.
But I mean, the people that I do have are fantastic. So I mean, I can't, I cannot complain, and I will not complain. And yeah. Oh, oops, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Alarm going off on my phone. I lost my train of thought. Anyway,
fine, yeah.
numbers. I don't look at the numbers while I'm streaming because I know that'll get in my head. If there's nobody, then my brain will be like, oh, if there's nobody here, you don't have to worry about talking. Which is no. Sometimes I realize I haven't talked for like 10 minutes or something because I just got so in focus. And sometimes I'm just babbling away and I have no idea what I'm saying from moment to moment. And like 5 moments later, I don't know what I said. And if you respond to it in stream, I'm sorry. I have no idea. That sounded like it came out of
God.
left field.
Me all the time. I'm like, what is that in reference to? They're like, you literally just said it. I'm like, did I?
It's like, if you say so, I believe you.
You're like, sure. Well, roll the clip. Like, yeah. No, I think so much of what you're saying is so relatable. Like I have very much done the same, kind of thought gymnastics and will continue to on occasion of like this person is offering very much what I'm offering. What is it? Why what is it there that they have that I don't have, or that they why is it that people are drawn to them but not to me? Like I think that's like a very natural thing that I would argue probably most streamers think of, regardless of what size, and I think too, like it's okay, and in fact probably necessary to like recognize that these are like normal thoughts to have in order to make it so that they don't like have a hold on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
is hard. It's like I think it's so true, the kind of grass is greener aspect of it, where it's like these kind of genuine connections that you form with people would be really difficult with a bigger audience. It's just you get to a point where it's just Twitch hive mind chat, and
Oh
it's
God,
not individual
I could not
relationships.
do that. I think if
Yeah.
I ever got to that point, it would well, I don't think I would ever get to that point, honestly, because
Yeah.
of the vibe. But I just that sounds so overwhelming and upsetting,
Mm.
almost like because again, going back to the reasons I stream, right? In part, it's because I'm enjoying what I do and I enjoy sharing what I'm doing.
Hmm.
Um, and in part it's because I like being able to chat to people while I
Yeah.
play. And
Yeah.
if it's just a Twitch hive mind, zoom, 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 I can't see anything but like a wall of emotes or copy pastas or what the hell is even going on in chat. I have no idea. You know, that that takes away that chatting to people that enjoy, then it's just a me. I might as well just be not streaming and talking to dead air for as much as I'm getting, which sounds really like self-centered, like as what am I getting out of having a Twitch chat that's zooming past, besides theoretically if there's that many people like subs or whatever. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like then that feels like such a weight
Yeah.
to carry.
Yeah.
And especially because I would probably be like, how did this happen?
Mm.
Is it just going to randomly stop? What happens if it
Yeah.
suddenly stops? Like I don't know, I like a slow steady growth to some
Hmm.
sort of plateau where I feel like I'm not just where I feel like I'm contributing to something, be it people's days or my own um whatever. But not past that to a point where it feels like, oh God, I lost the reins, this horse is out of control.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it becomes something so different at that point. And I think this idea of
Yeah.
like
Ugh.
it being a job, if it was purely a job, there's a different way to look at it, I think, than okay, it is my job, or at the very least the way that I am able to contribute financially, and it's my way of socially connecting with people, and it's a way to document these games that I enjoy, and to have like this kind of digital scrapbook of them. Like, so there's a lot of layers to it, I think, when we talk about like motivation for streaming and your relationship to chat, because that's what makes streaming unique too, is your relationship to chat, right? Like
Yeah, oh,
if it
absolutely.
weren't for that, we would just be making YouTube videos, which is fine too, but it's
Hmm.
it's different.
Oh, very different. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, having like asynchronous communication is great.
Yeah.
I love that there is such a thing.
Yeah.
Never call me, please. Text only. Um,
Never call me, please. Text me first, my God.
um,
I will not answer.
um, it's like the phone rings and my heart goes, "Ah."
Hmm.
um, but at the same time, I just with video games and video game entertainment, like I really do enjoy the live back and forth,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. What kind of people tend to find your streams?
I mean, hardcore people,
Yeah.
obviously. Uh, chill people,
Hmm.
usually. Like, if somebody comes in and they're looking for somebody who's doing like the most ridiculous, wild, hardcore content where you're fighting elites and like kiting them back for 10 million years and using like all your target dummies and bombs and things to do something, they're not gonna stay.
Yeah.
because that's not what I do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are definitely things where I know that I can do it, so I'm gonna do it. And maybe if you've never done it, you go, wait, what? This looks ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I just I don't like that sort of fight. I don't like that sort of stress.
Yep.
I'm not a PvPer, so I don't have the little like I'm gonna jump and move and this. I'm gonna stand and plant my feet and fight you. And if I can do it like that with whatever other tools in my arsenal, great.
Yeah.
If I have to like manipulate the terrain in specific ways to make it work, it's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
people who are expecting that, they leave pretty quickly if they ever show up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, generally people who I get a lot of people late at night their time, whatever it is, because I'm a Pacific Coast. So
Okay.
if
Yeah.
you're in the Americas, when I'm starting at 10 p.m. my time, it's that or later,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's 1 a.m. in the morning for some people when I start,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a chill vibe. And a lot of people are like, I'm gonna fall asleep soon, great, thanks. And it's like, I'm glad to do the service, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm taking it as a compliment that people are falling asleep in my stream.
Totally.
And then with the morning streams, it's not quite so late at night, European time, but it's still evening, wind down, not get pumped for the day. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, if people who are looking for a really energetic daytime stream do not stick around. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I think it'd be fun to be all hype and energetic and stuff, but it's just not me.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. That sounds exhausting.
There's nothing wrong
I'm
with
I'm just
that.
gonna
Yeah.
I'm just gonna vibe, and sometimes we go on a tangent and things are exciting and hilarious, and sometimes it's just music and gameplay and some general chattery, right? Like
Yeah.
just I don't know.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Yeah. Calm vibe people tend to find me.
That makes sense. Totally. Well, and kind of along that same end, like, are there um first impressions or takeaways you hope people get from your stream?
Um yeah, just a chill kind of relaxing time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even remember what I have for my chat rules, but generally like if I don't know, it's politics or world events or something are fine to talk about, but if it starts getting really down, like we're playing video games to escape, please let's not. And we kind of like, and then I asked it to bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but generally, I mean, again, we've talked before about how a safe space is not for you to declare, but for other people to determine.
Yeah.
And so I hope that people find it to be a safe space for whatever neurodivergence or body size or um oh orientation or gender or religion or whatever, right? Like I as long as you're not a fucking bigot, then you are welcome,
Yep.
right? If you're a fucking bigot, then there is the door, and
Yeah.
I will help you on your way if you need it. Uh,
Yeah.
like, but yeah, I don't know. I just want people to have a yeah, let me just relax and kick my feet up and maybe do something else while I have this on. Just comfortable, just a comfortable experience, I guess.
Totally. Well, you have a very like soothing, calm voice, and it's funny because you'll be doing something really intense in game, and it still feels very relaxed, even though it's like, oh God, she's about to die. It's kind of great. Talking about these kind of different aspects of identity with regard to like body size and gender and neurodivergence, like what are some aspects of your identity that come into play with streaming? How do they impact your streaming?
Um, Honestly, I don't think they really impact it much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I guess maybe if I was playing like a dating simulator or something, then maybe being ace would come into play where I'd play. Oh gosh, I was watching somebody play Dream Daddy Simulator, and
First of all,
it's
impeccable name for a video game. Like,
oh
just,
gosh, it was funny, but the people in chat were all like, "Oh my gosh, you should totally go for this guy," or like thirsting over this guy. I'm like, I don't, I don't feel that, but at the same time I was getting really invested in the story, and I've got it on my wish list now because okay, so anyway, Dream Daddy Simulator, for anybody who's not aware, is you're a single dad and there's a bunch of other single dads in the area, and you meet them, you and your kid have just moved, so you're meeting them and you're doing various things with them and such like that. And obviously, it's a dating game. Romance is gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And boinking. They've got a stream safe mode and a non-stream safe mode.
Uh-huh.
So you can self-select for how much you want to see. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I got really invested in the story with his teenage daughter. I was like, I want to know what happens. Like, she just got backstabbed by her group of friends. I'm sorry, I'm invested. I'm supposed to be streaming, but I have to watch this and find out what happens.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So I feel like maybe I focus on maybe it ends up with having me focus on different aspects of the games.
Hmm.
Um, maybe just a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like gaming is very separate from it for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's like it's there in the room with me, but it's not actually, you know,
Yeah.
making any of the decisions.
Yeah. It's
I don't
interesting.
know.
No, I mean that makes sense. And I think that like sometimes just like living out who you are and living out your values just kind of is, and so it's not necessarily something that like we're conscious of either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
um, but yeah, it's interesting. I would love to see an ace person play a dating simulator. That would be fascinating to me. I think that'd be if you ever do play Dream Daddy Simulator, please let me know. I will be there.
Noted, noted.
Yeah. Do you ever feel any like pressure or anxiety around streaming?
Um, yes and no. Uh, like, the anxiety generally happens like if I'm really feeling like I need some introvert time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because side note, nobody warns you that being an introvert parent is really hard, because as much as you love your kids, it still takes up your battery.
Sure.
And you can't just be like, no, I'm sorry, I can't hang out with you today, because it's your kid,
Right.
right? Like, you
Right.
gotta, and you want to be invested and aware and add attention. And, it takes a lot of focus.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes having that and then being like, and I still have to stream tonight. Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, please let it be a quiet night. Right? Like, please.
Yeah.
But there's also the knowledge that, if it is too much, if I just can't people anymore, I can be like, I'm sorry, I'm ending the stream early, and then nobody can talk to me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you're stuck over there on your side of the computer. Like, I am gone.
Yeah.
You, like, it's just having access to that off switch, whether I need it or not, is just enough to get past that sort of like, oh God, talking to people.
Yeah.
Um, but anxiety, like, I don't think so. Again, with the audience size, I think I would probably feel it a lot more if I had a bunch of people watching. But
Yeah.
knowing that it's probably just, 3 to 5 people that I feel like I have a reasonably close Twitch relationship with, that I can talk back and forth and they know who I am and I know who they are. Right. I mean, on the one hand, it's parasocial-ish, I guess, but not really. I feel like at that it's more just like, they're people, the people I know. Do I know you well? No.
Mm.
Like, do I expect to be, invited to your wedding or something? No, obviously not. Right? Like, but, if I see you in somebody's chat or something, I'll be like, oh, hey, how's it going? Great to see you. Right? Like,
Totally. Yeah.
there's that level of small streamer friendship, I think, that
Totally.
really makes that anxiety not come into play. Where I think, again, if I had a bigger stream, it'd be a little bit more kind of hovering there, like, am I saying the right things? Am I
Sure.
doing the right things? Do I need to be talking more? Do I need to be talking about different things? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, just before we actually went live, having that conversation of like, is it presumptuous to like say that you're my Twitch friend? It's like, no, like you're my Twitch friend. Like, but it is that it's interesting. This is something for me that has been fascinating since 2020, and again, I think for younger people, like for your kids, this is probably going to be something they grow up with as being normal. But like the advent of being able to really create real relationships and real friendships purely online is something that I have found to be really fascinating, particularly with Twitch, but just in general, I think because of quarantine, like you said, the kind of time during COVID where public response was much stronger, like all of us kind of figuring out like, okay, well, how do we form social connection during this time when we can't in the traditional kind of, methods that we had in the past? And so I think that like the conversation of like parasocial relationship is really interesting in the small streamer space because we're all in each other's chats. And so like it's not as much as it is a one-way conversation, there are ways in which it's not too. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fascinating
Yeah.
to me. Well, and there are moments like has that ever happened in terms of like kind of boundary transgression with you where it's like, okay, wait a minute, like this now makes me uncomfortable in terms of the kind of like social relationships you form
Um,
online?
no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Um, the closest would be one time I think I had, World of Warcraft armor when you're
Mm.
playing a female character.
Yeah.
Like, so it was one of those moments where I was like, oh God, this chess piece is hilarious. Let me zoom in on this. Let me, look how much of the side boob there is. Like, that's
Totally.
hilarious.
Yeah.
And somebody in chat was like, oh yeah. Well, I don't remember exactly what words they used, but it gave it more of like a sexual vibe than a this is hilarious, how is that armor? And again,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those ace perspective things, right, where it's
Right.
just like this is funny and also like, wowza, but in a platonic way.
Mm-hmm.
um, and then
Mm-hmm.
they did wowza in a non-platonic way, and I was like, oh wait, okay, now I'm uncomfortable, I'm sorry,
Right.
that let's move on, let's go to something else.
Yeah.
Right, like,
Yeah.
but I think that's the only time I've never had anybody like DMing me or making things awkward or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
yeah.
good. Well, and we kind of talked about this already, but in terms of like trolls and people that are coming in to, just be rude for the sake of being rude or being bigoted, is that something, have you experienced trolls while you're streaming?
A couple times, not very often. There was definitely that big like bot wave
Mm.
that happened around the time when I got Sari bot, where you would just have like waves and waves of people with nearly the same name following and like hate raids happening. I don't think I ever got a
Yeah.
hate raid, but it was very much a this is awkward and uncomfortable and oh good god, like let me just block and ban and block and ban and
Yep.
block and ban and block and ban.
Yep.
But otherwise, the only time is because I'm cis, but I do have my pronouns in my Twitch because it's just easier for everybody. I feel like if you
Mm-hmm.
know specifically, okay, when I'm talking about fun, she, her, there we go, no questions needed,
Yeah.
no questions asked, right? um but I had somebody, again, I can't even remember what they said, which is good because it means it obviously didn't stick too hard, but they were essentially like, huh, pronouns in bio. And I was like, all right, block, ban, goodbye. But
Yeah.
it does stick with you for a few minutes. You're kind of like, why would they even, like, what are they getting out of this,
That's always my
that
question. Yeah.
they come into some stranger's stream just to be negative, and you're just getting a block and a ban, like, that's all you're getting.
Right. Yeah.
What drives people to do that? But
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't happened much. Like, again, that's the only time that I can really bring it to mind.
Yeah.
um but yeah.
Well, and I always really appreciate, cis folks sharing pronouns, and I think it is a signifier that you, at the very least, are an ally and perhaps are queer, right? So it's something that like it's that like queer recognized queer kind of moment, I guess, when you see that someone else has their pronouns. And I think that in terms of this idea of safe space, I think it is something that like for trans folks, non-binary folks, like when they see that someone has their pronouns in bio, it's like, oh, this might be a safe place for me. You know what I mean? So it means in terms of like communication and efficiency, absolutely. I think that's there, but I think there's also something to be said about like how meaningful it is to see people normalize the idea of having pronouns in their bio, you know?
Yeah, it's like I don't want it's like acknowledging that you can't just assume
Yeah.
that, it's good to let people tell you,
Mm-hmm.
however much they want to tell you of it. Knowing somebody's pronouns doesn't tell you anything about their gender, and that's fine. But yeah, knowing just that it does need to be said, right? That it is, a part of the introductory sort of process that, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, I'm probably talking in circles there, but yeah, no, I
No.
definitely do have my pronouns in my bio as an indicator that, yes, any you're welcome. You're welcome here.
Yeah.
Please feel free, you know.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. What kind of streams do you enjoy? What kind of streams inspire you?
Um I mean, it's funny because I'm a chill streamer, but I do enjoy watching people who are excited and outgoing and energetic. I do also enjoy the chill streams. Like sometimes I want somebody who's going to make me be laughing so hard or just, bouncing and vibing along, and sometimes I just want, calm little vibe, just enjoying, maybe I'm chatting, maybe I'm not, but just, you know, somebody somebody reading their book in the next chair over while I'm reading my book sort of thing, right?
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
company, but not necessarily entertainment. And then other
Yeah,
times, it's like, I would like to be entertained. Entertain me, please.
totally. There is something you just hit on there that I think about often is the idea of like parallel play and how that kind of works with
Yes.
Twitch, which I love. But yeah, that idea of like, okay, you get to be my background noise while I'm working today, or yeah, you get to read your book while I'm reading my book. Like I really love that a lot.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference or a line kind of between your personal self and your like streamer self in terms of that idea of kind of like, I don't know, your persona or the things that you kind of want to keep private?
Um, I mean, obviously, I try to keep my family private. I mean, obviously, I've already said their names, um, during this during the stream, so I don't necessarily keep my kids' names out of it, but I'm definitely not going to have them on stream or say
Mm-hmm.
any more than basic basic things. Like nothing. I I'm very aware of kind of like it's not my place to say anything about them. They're their own people,
Yeah,
right? Like if it's
totally.
something they've told me that feels like a public, like, Twitch or Pip thinking about wanting to be a streamer when he grows up or something, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that that's on that side of the shareable line, where, anything that was a struggle or something, it's not, you know but otherwise, I don't know. I think the only thing difference is I'm a little bit more outgoing on stream than I am
Okay.
in real life.
Yeah.
Which again, when you see how, like, calm and chill my streams are, that is me being more outgoing, because
Yeah.
again, I know that I have that off switch. I know that I can just say, okay, we're done, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in a social setting, it's like, if I start talking more, am I going to continue having to talk more?
Yeah.
Is this going to be an obligation? Am I not going to be able to get back into my little corner? Like,
Mm-hmm.
let me just not go out there. Let me just stay here. And if anyone comes over and chats, I'll sure, but it's on them to do the interacting.
Totally. Totally.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but that's about it. Otherwise, I don't have a persona or anything that I put on specifically for streaming, because again, that sounds exhausting.
Yeah, totally. Well, and again, I think that's merit to it. It's just well, and this is kind of why I started this podcast and why I think it's fascinating talking to everyone because everyone has a different relationship to it. So there are people that like, have a different persona. It's just a completely different relationship to streaming, I think, than what you or I have.
Yeah, I feel like definitely if you're more of an acting background, or
Mm-hmm.
an acting, if you enjoy it, then I can see how having a character and streaming as that character could be cool
Yeah.
and freeing in some ways, because that's not you, that's your
Right.
character. But at the same time, again, just knowing that I just log on to Twitch and I play my game and I am me.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of the preparation and stress off of it. It's
Totally.
just kind of okay, all right, my tea is ready, hopefully, or at least steeping my, um,
Hopefully.
you know,
Yeah.
I've got everything near me. Okay, we're good to go. Let's just go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, if I had to do like this sort of like mental switch of, okay, this is me during the day and this is me on stream, I don't know if I'd still be streaming.
Yeah, fair. That's totally fair. When you look back at like when you very first started versus your streams now, like what are some of the biggest differences or the ways in which it's changed since you started?
Like streaming in general or
Yeah.
me or
Both, I guess. Yeah.
both? Like on the one hand, um yeah, I don't know. Again, as I've gotten inspiration over time, I've added the little bits and bobs that people expect or people want with the stream, like, sound alerts and emotes and different scenes and like because I didn't start with that. I started with no overlay,
Mm,
right? Like I started just here's my game, you know.
right.
I'm playing my game, you can see my game. Um and then maybe like something covering the chat box in case somebody was whispering at me that I didn't want to show on online or something. And I
Right.
still cover my chat box because it just feels like anybody who's chatting doesn't know and hasn't consented necessarily to appearing before other people. And is it
Sure.
probably too small to read on stream? Yes.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah.
That's what if somebody I know whispers me something that's just happened that they would not want broadcasted to people?
Totally.
So I just like to have that covered.
Hmm.
How did we get on this topic? Oh right, how does streaming changed?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I think the other thing is just it's related to the growth and decline of the hardcore community.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning it was very much a it doesn't matter what time I'm streaming. When I finish, I can raid somebody else who's playing hardcore.
Yep.
And there was just that small community and yet everybody's streaming vibe before the add-on that it was great. Like the night
Yeah.
shift, the movement that keeps on moving.
Oh,
Thank you, Nev.
the night
Um,
shift. Yeah.
like there was definitely more of a small community we're all in this together vibe of
Yeah.
hardcore at the beginning that is not there now. Like
True.
there's still a little bit of remnants from the original people who were still there. Um, like if I see like yeah anybody from that time streaming and I'm ending, like I know I'm going there.
Yeah.
And then there's like the new wave that came in with Season of Mastery, and that even that is old now,
Yeah.
right? Which is weird time
That
wise, but
is
that
weird.
is years ago. And so like the ones who stuck around, right, they kind
Mm.
of get folded in to the internal small community of like these are my hardcore people,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
um and so even if they're not playing hardcore, it's still like okay, yeah, no, I definitely you know want to introduce people to you or send people to you or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, it's definitely gone from a I am in a small but thriving community to I am the remnants of a once great civilization.
Yeah.
Like I am Ozymandias, whatever the hell that finishes. um but I don't know, at the same time I'm glad I started when I did,
Mm.
because I think without that, I don't know how much traction I would have gotten, how much
Yeah.
I would continue to be streaming, like if it would still feel worth it or if it'd be like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna play. Um, but yeah, it's definitely shifted from more of a homegrown to a like, okay, yeah, we're here, we're I've got a nice microphone, but
Hmm.
I still don't have a camera. There's things I would like to maybe do sometime, but that's in the future when I'm a real streamer.
When you're a real streamer, how will you know when you're a real streamer?
um, it's a mythical thing. It's never gonna happen.
Okay.
It's my soon
It's a
TM.
mythical thing. Sorry.
Like I would love to be able to stream for longer than 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like not like when I don't know, maybe when the kids are in school for longer, but at the same time
Yeah.
that's when they'll be older and theoretically I can have a regular job as well. So maybe the daytime streams would stop and I'd still only have short nighttime streams,
Yeah.
right? Like the concept of just being able to start streaming and stream for 4, 5, 6 hours, I guess to me that would feel like being a real streamer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm not a real streamer, but it's like a real
Right.
streamer TM, right?
Okay.
With
Yeah.
capitals and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, and kind of
I don't
along
know.
those same lines too, like what is the mark of like a good stream for you? Like how do you know a stream like was successful?
Um, Again, it's a lot of it is vibes, but
Yeah.
when I've had people to talk to nearly the whole time, I haven't had those long stretches of, oh shit, I haven't been talking, but there's nobody in chat. So hopefully the lurkers are happy, and yeah, but there's just kind of a feeling. Like
Yeah.
some days it feels like, oh man, that was a really great stream. I'm feeling jazzed and pumped. And some days I was like, yeah, that was a stream. It was a good stream. We got things done, but it was, it was it was a stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what the exact like toggle is in terms of when it feels like the first versus when it feels like the second, but it's just, you kind of just get the feeling at the end of the stream of yeah, today was a good day, or today was a day.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Twitch chat, I'm gonna send it over to you in a minute here. So if any of you have questions for fun, please feel free to type them into chat, and we'll get to those in just a minute. There's a lot of Funaria fans in chat, so it's nice to see you all. But please type your questions into chat, and we'll get there in just a minute here. Fun. What are some things that have maybe surprised you since you first started streaming?
Just the fact that people want to hang out with me again, with
Sure.
at the beginning with the hardcore community as it was, that didn't feel surprising because it was just the way you did it, right? But as time has gone by, the fact that people have stuck around,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
And yeah,
Let's see. Bromanda wants to know, what is your favorite color?
that is a difficult question. I think blue, but green and purple are so close that it's like, yeah, there's some purples I like better than some blues. There's some greens I like better than some purples, right?
Yeah.
But in general, there are more ugly greens and ugly purples than there are ugly blues to me. So,
Wow.
a blue.
All right. All right. I like it. Sleep Baton asks, is there anything you don't know about Classic WoW?
Um, if it's about PvP, and if it's about like raiding and end game content that isn't from from Wrath of the Lich King, and if it's really in-depth dungeon stuff, because I generally don't have the time to devote to dungeons.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Sleep Baton also wants to know, if you had to choose one condiment to be dispensed out of your belly button forever, which one would you choose? Incredible question. As I read it, I was like, where are we going with this?
Okay. All right. So there's a lot to that question. Um oh god. Like, 'cause on the one hand, it's like I want one that I would use a lot because then I'd save a lot of money.
Sure.
Right? Never like, but at the same time, like, how the awkwardness of collecting it, like, it's I think, oh, I think I'm just getting squicked out of the thought of using it at all. So, um oh gosh, I don't know. If none is an answer, then none.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
My answer is no, Sleep Baton.
yeah, oh god, I can't get over the fact that no, like, there'd be no
Yeah.
way to get it out without it touching the rest of your stomach, and
Uh-huh.
it's just like, oh, from the get-go,
Uh-huh.
just
Yeah, air is a
yeah,
condiment,
nothing,
right?
nothing,
That's
nothing. Please no.
Please no. Uh, Lendergoon asks, what game have you always wanted to stream but haven't done yet?
Oh, that's a slightly difficult question. I think one of them is I would love to stream something that isn't on my computer, which would mean, of course, getting Elgato or whatever.
Yeah.
But like Super Nintendo games, especially on the actual Super Nintendo when you have the proper timings and everything. Um, oh gosh, but also other games, like I would love to stream like Darkest Dungeon, for example.
Ooh,
I think that would be a lot
yeah.
of fun. Or I don't know, just little games that I have on Steam that I've really enjoyed that I don't think are incredibly well known. Like obviously Darkest Dungeon is better known,
Yeah.
but like just little random things that I'd love to be like, look at this game, isn't it so ridiculous?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I would
But
love to watch you
yeah,
play
no.
Darkest Dungeon. That would be great. Yeah. Yeah. I love that game. I need to play that game again. It's so fun and stressful.
Yes.
Um, Let's see. Maddie Brady asks, other than streaming, what would be your dream job?
Um, yeah, it's a difficult one. Like, so I would love to have something to do with plants,
Mm.
but at the same time, I don't like bugs. So working with plants in the outdoors does have the unfortunate access to spiders and other creepy crawlies that I don't want to be around me.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. It would be a job that makes me think at least a bit, that isn't necessarily the same every day,
Mm-hmm.
um, but is still predictable enough that I know, like, okay, I'm gonna work and I'm gonna be doing something within this range of things.
Right.
Like, honestly, I am almost describing a job I used to have that I wouldn't have necessarily called my dream job, and yet it was kind of a little
Mm.
bit. So it was a water testing company.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so people, various different like companies or townships or whatever would send the water in, and so you'd need to analyze it for different things. So like some of them would be needing the full suite of, is this water drinkable,
Mm-hmm.
and others would be, is this an acceptable solution of things to have in this tailing pond or this other thing. So there was a lot of different things, and each day you'd go in and you'd be like, okay, we've got 10 things that need a fluoride check done. So that's efficient. I'll do fluorides today. Or,
Mm-hmm.
only one thing needs turbidity, but it's been waiting the longest, so I'd better do that. So it was very much you had to make your own decisions throughout the day about what you were going to do. And there was kind of like a clear, like, okay, I should get this done. I should get this done. I'm the only one who can run metals, and metals need to be done, so I'd better get that done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was also, again, everything within that certain range.
Yeah.
So I guess yes, something like that
Yeah.
would probably be this.
No,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Well, and actually, I was meaning to ask you, what are some passions and hobbies that you have outside of streaming?
I really like jigsaw puzzles.
Oh, okay.
I don't have as much time to make them as I would like, but
Mm-hmm.
I've got a puzzle table that suffers from being an empty surface, and so
Okay.
every so often I clear it so I can do a puzzle, and then I don't get the puzzle started right away, and then I have to clear it so I can start a puzzle, and it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Um, I like Sudoku, especially variant Sudoku I got really into recently,
Hmm.
which is basically where instead of just the usual, you have to get the numbers from 1 to 9 in every box and every row and every column, is like, but also maybe there's this green line that's going through it that all the numbers along it have to be different by at least 5. And so that
Mm.
adjusts the logic that you need to solve the puzzle, and so they can give you fewer numbers. And sometimes I just watch people solve the really complicated ones, because like there's no way I'd even know where to start, but this is fascinating and I'm enjoying the logic. And other
Yeah.
times I'm like, I think I'll give a whack at that, and it's like 2 hours later I solved the puzzle, hooray.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like logic problems and various things like that.
Yeah.
um I like nature from a distance again, like sitting out on the deck and enjoying being outside and the breeze and the scenery and everything, but without, going through the bush and being like, "Oh God, was that a spider? Oh good God, that was a spider web. Oh no, oh no, please,
Mm-hmm.
please don't be on me." Right? Like yeah,
Yeah.
reading. Yeah, I read a lot. I get books from the library on my phone, and then it's like, oh, I'm waiting for the kettle to boil. Let me just read a chapter of my book.
Yeah.
Like it's so convenient. Though to be fair, I did that before I had books on my phone. I just carried a book around in one hand all the time.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I'd say those are my hobbies.
Love it. Yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, Jigsaw puzzle stream one, Sudoku stream one. I would
Sudoku
watch.
not so much, because there would be a lot of me staring at it going, I have no idea what to do. But a jigsaw puzzle stream is something that I want to be able to have the capability for. It's one
Okay.
of the first things that have made me go, I would get a camera for this.
Ooh,
Like
okay.
if I could figure out the setup for it,
Sure.
I figured like just a chill evening, just, you know,
Yeah.
camera set, and just building the puzzle and chatting,
Love
right?
it.
Like that sounds fantastic, and I would love to do it sometime.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Bramanda asks, if you were a cartoon character, what would your outfit be?
Oh God. I mean, probably similar to what I've got now would be like the character with the slouchy hoodie,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
like, hands in their pockets, kind of like not perfect posture, just kind of that vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Wondergoon asks, if you could live in one video game or fictional world, which one would you choose?
Oh gosh. It wouldn't be World of Warcraft. Have you seen the size of those spiders?
Mm-mm.
Definitely wouldn't be Skyrim. Also, again, same reason.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
which one would I choose? That is a difficult question. God, my mind is going blank. I feel like I've come up to the perfect answer to this prompt at some other point, but I don't like because it wouldn't be Stardew Valley. I'm sorry, I love that game, but I would die trying to farm, and otherwise I'd probably end up working at Jojo Mart. And no, I don't wanna.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Yeah.
oh gosh, I don't know because so many role playing games are set like the goal of the game is to, you know, get things to a better state, and so the worlds are all kind of awful.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be in those places.
Fair. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, I don't
It's a
know.
tough one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think none of them. I don't want the Sims, I guess, because it's basically the same. But I would be. Oh, actually, yeah. Sims sound. Can a Sim see another Sims green diamond? I wonder because if you could just look at somebody and be like, "Oh, I see you're upset about something." Like here,
Oh,
oh man, parenting a sim toddler and just being able to be like, you're upset because you need to go to the bathroom.
right.
You're upset because you're bored. You're upset because you need more social interaction. Perfect. Thank you for giving me the
You
answers.
know exactly what to do. Yeah.
So if the in character Sims can have access to that information, then I would love to live in the Sims world.
Love that. Perfect. No, that makes total sense. Not a question, but T. Miller says, you are the master of a perfectly timed pun. Not a question, just a fun fact.
Thank you. I do enjoy a good pun.
Puns are
I
great.
enjoy
Yeah.
bad pun as well.
Yeah, totally. Bad puns are almost better than good puns, I think, sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any kind of pre-stream or post-stream rituals, like things you do to get ready for stream or things you do after to kind of wind down?
I mean, after stream, I generally open up a Sudoku puzzle and just
Mm.
try to work through that because either I get to solve it and I feel great and I just go to bed, or I am so lost in the logic that the tiredness really sets in and it's like, okay, sleep time, time to go.
Okay.
Of course, for a daytime stream, uh, not really. It's just kind of a, okay, I better go eat or do whatever else I need to do before I go pick up the kids from school. There's not really a wind down routine. For getting ready for stream, um, not really. I attempt to make sure that my tea is ready, and I fail miserably. I make it ahead of time. I'm like, yes, I'm good, except then, oops, I just drank it all, and now stream is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to start. Or, oops, I didn't drink it, and now it's ice cold. Crap.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, I forgot to take the tea. The tea is basically my nemesis and my you know necessity.
Yeah, totally.
But no, not really. I just kind of settle in and get comfy and get going.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. What is maybe some advice you would give to your younger streamer self?
um I'd say, like, don't be afraid to start.
Mm,
Just start, like, because I could have started so much sooner,
yeah.
right? Like, just relax and let it flow.
Yeah.
um don't be afraid to try something, I guess, would be, yeah.
Yeah. Why were you afraid to start?
Oh, it's just the usual sort of, well, who would want to watch me,
Mm-hmm.
right? But again, hardcore really helped with that because well, that's why people would want to watch me, because people like watching people suffer in hardcore or
Totally.
succeed,
Yeah,
like
the format itself is,
the
yeah,
format is really, yeah, the format kind of makes the content.
totally.
Um, yeah, no, basically it was, yeah, would people want to watch? Is this just wasting time?
Mm.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any goals or projects for streaming coming up?
Um, I mean, not yes and no, not really. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, again, the being able to have something like a puzzle stream
Yeah.
is like a very, very long term goal because the logistics of it are difficult. I don't know where
Sure.
I'd fit a puzzle table that would be close enough to be able to stream properly, and but um otherwise, like, in terms of game, once I don't want Cataclysm to drop because I need a lot more time for Wrath.
Yeah.
But once it does drop and I don't have that time pressure, then I will definitely have more Skyrim streams because it's about time for that Death Knight who can't stealth to do the Thieves Guild quest chain. And
Yeah.
basically, my plan is to go through every mission that's like, hey, stealth in here, and just go through like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
And 'cause I feel like that's going to be pretty fun.
Love it.
I'd love to resume my Stardew Valley farm.
Yeah.
What else? There was probably something else, but I can't remember. But I mean, it's still mostly hardcore because there are so many hardcore runs that I want to do
Yeah.
and have either started or just have had on the back burner. Like that arachnophobe priest has been planned for years at this point, and she hasn't had a
Uh-huh.
time to shine. And someday it will be her turn.
I'm excited for it. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, there's only so much time and so many,
Yeah.
yeah, things that we want to do at the same time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Twitch chat, thank you so much for your questions and for hanging out. I really appreciate you. With that, we'll go ahead and start wrapping some things up here. I have 10 final questions for you, Fun. So 10 questions inspired by James Lipton, Bernard Pivot, and CJ the X. Funaria, are you ready?
As I'll ever be.
Okay, perfect. Which game or activity do you love to stream the most?
I mean, hardcore.
Yeah. Which game or activity do you hate to stream the most?
Ooh. Can it be theoretical?
Yeah.
Or is it okay, I think an IRL stream sounds very stressful.
Sure, yeah. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Good music.
What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Sensory ick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's great.
If something's just not feeling right, it's like, oh God, make it stop, please.
Totally. Which streamer would you like to meet most in real life?
I know this was a common answer earlier, but I would totally love to hang out and watch movies with you. I'm sorry, but
I would love that. No, we totally should, Fun. We totally should. I would love that. It's one of those questions that I'm like, me? Well, yeah. What is something you would like to try on stream but never have?
well, we kind of went over this a little bit earlier, but
Yeah.
puzzles or like old Super Nintendo games.
Ooh,
Just things that are not necessarily on the computer.
yeah, yeah. What is something you would never want to do on stream?
Oh, right, I remember. I'm sorry. I know we're not supposed to pre-think about these questions, but I did, and I was like, I know I had an answer. It's the thing where people will like eat something nasty for a sub. I would never
Uh-huh.
ever eat something nasty on stream. I'm sorry, it's not happening.
Sure. Yeah, totally. Fun, why do you go live?
Uh, to have fun, just to hang out with people.
Yeah. Follow-up question. Why do you really go live?
Because it says so on the schedule, and I'm gonna follow that schedule.
Uh-huh. Love it. Final question. You're on your deathbed. You know exactly how much time you have left. You have any and all resources available to you. Money doesn't matter. Commercial viability doesn't matter. Viewer count doesn't matter. What do you do for your final stream on Earth?
I would want it to be at least a partial showcase of just my absolute favorite games of all time. But culminating in a Tetris Attack battle with my sister,
Oh, that's
because we
fun.
used to have the most epic versus games where we'd both be struggling under the weight. Like we'd have like 3 lines maybe available and like garbage piled up to hell, and somehow manage to reverse it and dump it on the other person. Just the whole we'd have like 10-minute or 15-minute like battles back and forth of just fantastic. And I would love to have that be my final stream.
I love that. That's great. Fun. What a pleasure. This was so nice talking to you. I would
Thank
love
you
to
for
watch
having
movies
me.
with you. You're genuinely one of my favorite people that I have met on Twitch, and you are someone I consider to be a Twitch friend, and I think that like the chat right now is a testament to just like what a wonderful positive, force you are out here in good old Twitch world. And so it's lovely to get to know you more, and it's lovely to be able to just, I don't know, share you with the world a little bit,
Well, thank you. And shout out to Zig and the kids for being willing to give up the media
Yay.
room for 2 hours on a Sunday morning.
Yay! Shout out to Zig and the kids. Happy Mario Day to Pip in particular. Yeah, for sure. With that, I would love to go ahead and raid somebody that you love. Is there anyone online that you'd like us to, pass this
All right,
beautiful crowd off to?
Let me have a look. Oh,
While Fun's looking, if you're not following her, you need to change that immediately. Unfortunately, I need to wait another 6 seconds, apparently, before I'm allowed to shout you out. I think I just have a fun command, don't I? Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't have very many people on right now.
Okay.
But as many of you are hardcore people or hardcore adjacent, there is someone who he used to stream a little bit more. He's started streaming again. His name is Koar, Koar1, and he's doing a like mega self-made project in hardcore right now, where he's basically got all like a bunch of different characters who are doing self-made but able to trade among his alts.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
So he's just doing that. Let me just double check that he is actually there and it's not a chair.
Okay. Yeah.
As happens sometimes. Yeah, no, it looks like he's active and playing.
And how do you spell it?
So that is
perfect. Thank you.
again it's just the general chill vibes.
Love it. Okay. So guys, we're gonna go hang out with Kawar, and if you could do me a big favor, copy and paste the little raid message to let Kawar know that Funaria sent us Sloopatod and Villain and T Miller and Smooth Zucchini and Raven and Jermaine and Romanda and Wondergoon and everybody else who's been hanging out. Thanks so much for hanging out. And anyone who I didn't mention, love you too. We do Why We Go Live every other Sunday-ish. So if you like this, you can come check me out on a Sunday where I'm talking to some of your favorite streamers. And if you or someone you know would be a good guest for the show, you can send an email to whywegolive@gmail.com. You can check out Why We Go Live on all of the, socials and whatnot. And again, please go follow Funaria. She's amazing and wonderful. With that, we're gonna go say hi to Kawar. Goodbye. I love you. Bye. To see you. Bye. This is when I'm the most awkward fun. And we're